Why a language becomes a global language has little to do with the number of people who speak it. It has much more to do with who those speakers are. This quotation belongs to David Crystal. He's a professor of linguistics at Bangor University in North Wales in the United Kingdom. Now let's listen to him answering the question, why is English a global language?
A language becomes a global language because of the power of the people who speak it. It's nothing to do with the structure of the language. It's nothing about English grammar or vocabulary or pronunciation or spelling that makes English an appealing language at a global level. In fact, if you think about it, English spelling would put most people off, you'd think. So it's nothing to do with the structure of language. No, it's all to do with power. But power means different things at different times. English first became international because of political power, military power, the power of the British Empire, really. But it isn't just political that takes a language around the world. There have got to be other factors too. A century later, we were talking about the 16th, 17th century there, we had the power of science, of technology, the Industrial Revolution. English is the language of science.
But there was another important power in those times apart from science, technology and industry. It was the media.
The media are at the center of everyone's life. These are some of the first British and American newspapers that appeared in the beginnings of the 17th century.
According to the data compiled by the Encyclopedia Britannica, the top 5 papers are all in English. They are the New York Times, followed by the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and the 2 British papers, the Times and the Sunday Times.
By the beginnings of the 19th century, the use of advertisements in magazines allowed publishers to lower their prices and thus hugely increase the circulation. McClure and Cosmopolitan are among the most famous magazines in those times, and as we well know, Cosmopolitan is still available today.
English was the first language to be transmitted by radio in USA on Christmas Eve 1906.
In the cinema industry,
Fight for? Ah, you see. You admit it. What is there to fight for?
when sounds were added to the images in the late 1920s, it was the English language which suddenly came to dominate the movie world. The recording industry was the other entertainment which emerged by the middle of 19th century. All the major recording companies in popular music had English language origins. As before, nowadays English still leads in all these aspects. And what's more, it has become in the language used for the international communication for about 1,000 million of people. It is used to write the 75% of the global mail, to do the 92% of the communications via internet, to publish the 80% of the scientific information, and to do more than the 50% of the commercial dealings around the world. That's why we say that English is a language on which the sun never sets.